currently we have, I believe, 7 cameras in play. Currently, the system, we cannot go back and do anything on the cameras as we can only see live feed. It is important for our SROs to have that ability. We get a lot of calls involving missing or runaway juveniles. This could be something that could be very important. And let me stress, if we have a dispatcher or if anything, it's not going to be shared. If it is, that person will be dismissed very quickly, and they'll be looking at this gentleman over here. So I understand FERPA and everything, but that's not the thing, and that's not what I came here for tonight. I came here to try to get everybody to work together to provide safety for the children, and let's forget our feelings and everything. Let's work together to provide safety for the children of Loudon County truly. Anybody that doesn't, then they're going to have, I think the voters will speak. And gentlemen, let's work together for their protection. Thank you.
Couldn't be more. Thank you.
Yes. My name's Tammy Bright, and I would like to file a formal complaint on something that happened back in March. I'm going to give each board member one. You'll just pass it down, please. So I'll give the newspaper man one. You'll know what's going on. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Is that all, Ms. Brett?
Unless y'all have some questions, everything's on that, and, I would like a response on it. It has been brought to the attention of you guys that nothing's been done, but now I want to see that, what's going to be done.
I brought it to Mr. Vance's attention and your attention at the meeting, special call meeting on the 22nd.
You did. I remember now. I think we're going to look into the usage of that. You had any luck on that at all?
Well, if this will help, I did have a family member of the person that told me that this is not the first time that that's happened with this gentleman. And his behavior, if y'all have any questions, the Crystal in Lenore City has got how he started obnoxiously trying to pick a fight, stating the only reason why I was doing this is because a family member didn't get hired. I wouldn't want my dog to work in Loudon County under its administration. So I sure wouldn't want my son-in-law. It's a sad situation that our school system has come to what it is today over one person.
And you're
And
looking
everybody,
at, at a picture of a school equipment, not in the hands of a school employee.
Exactly. And it has been verified by the pictures on the phone, who it come back to. This gentleman called me by name. And Mr. Vance, he even said, I know it's one of your snitches, but that's okay. I wasn't hiding anything. He didn't have to video anything. He didn't tell us he was videoing. He sat down and just immediately come across the table like this and said, "You, Tammy Bright." I said, "Who are you?" I've never seen the man. And he's so ugly, I would have recognized him. But he sat there and mouthed off. And finally, the manager from the back of Crystal come out and said, "Do you have a problem with these people? They're not bothering anybody." He didn't have to have that video. He didn't have to open his mouth. He could have sat at the table with us. We wasn't hiding anything. I have a petition going trying to get you out of office if you want to know what it was. And I'm not backing down, And it definitely, I talked to you 5 years ago on things that happened from North Middle when you got rid of some great teachers. And you stood and looked me in the eye in your office and said, "Just cause. I don't answer to anyone." Well, you've got voters. We've got people that care about our kids, just like this shirt says. I don't trust my child under your your ability. My kids' safety comes first.
Yes, I'm sorry. Too short.
Cindy Greer, I'm a resident and taxpayer at Loudon County. And I would like to know what is gonna be done about the bullying situation. My daughter has been bullied for 2 years now at Loudon County High School, and nothing is being done about it. Mr. Vance, I have talked to you 3 times now. And back in September, November, February of this year, I've talked to the high school, the latest time being February 28th, and was told, we'll take care of it. Nothing's been done. It ended up with my daughter being in the hospital for 3 days. I had to watch my daughter lay in a hospital bed, wondering if she was going to make it out alive. Have you ever had to experience that?
No.
Have you ever been told, if you didn't get her here when you did, you would have lost your daughter? Because she was bullied and the school system did nothing, and I mean nothing, to protect my child. From the time she gets on that school bus to the time she gets home, she is your all's responsibility. And when I call and I call and I call and talk to you all and say, look, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. Oh, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. Nothing was done, and I about lost my child. Please explain to me why you all did nothing to protect her. An explanation?
We can't.
On March the 18th, when school went back in session after spring break, I took a safety plan right here. Gave it to Miss Parrish. I said I want a copy given to Nurse Cargyle, Miss Kennedy, and Officer Goddard. All 3 had to call and request a copy. I talked to Officer Goddard today. I said, Officer Goddard, did you get a copy of Carissa's safety plan? He said, no ma'am, I did not. I wasn't aware that she had one or what happened. So I had to explain to him. I said, could you please go request one? He said, yes ma'am, I will do that right now. Back on the 28th, Carissa didn't show up to first period. I knew she'd went to school, but I got an automatic call she wasn't at school, so I went straight to the school. Where's my daughter? She showed up for second period, but not first period. Again, the kid on the school bus was picking on her. She had really upset, so she went and hid in the bathroom. Nobody could tell me where she was. I said, Officer Goddard, can you please back up the videotapes and tell me where my kid was? Officer Goddard's response was, I would love to help you, Miss Greer, but I am not allowed to back up the videotapes. Tell me why my SRO at the high school could not back up that videotape and tell me where my child was. It took me a day and a half to figure out where my kid was. Yes, I knew where she was when she got home because she told me. But why couldn't your school system tell me? I had to wait till the vice principal called me the next day and tell me. She could have killed herself in your bathroom because of her mental state. You all would have been reliable because the SRO was not allowed to back up that videotape. Is that not why he's there, to protect my kid? And how did a whole school lose one child? That is so concerning to me. What do you all plan to do about the bullying situation? Why did your principal not pass out a safety plan to 3 people? Can you all please tell me that? And tell me what you all would have done if it would have been your child laying in that hospital bed.
We cannot address the individual student issues. Your comments are very well noted, and all I can tell you is we'll look into them. I can assure you of that.
That's what I was told by Mr. Vance when I called him those 3 months as well, and nothing was done.
I'm not Mr. Vance, you're talking to the chairman of the school board here.
So I get the same answer from you that I got from him and the school.
I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
why Mr. Vance didn't consult with you on it.
I cannot answer that, and he can't either, because of the, just allow us the chance to see if we can make this better. I understand you've got a very valid concern.
Ms. Greer, our policy or our procedure policy says that if you have an issue with something going on in school, you go to, of course, you have to go to the teacher, and you go to the principal, and you go to Jason Vance. And now I take it that Mr. Vance did you talk personally to Mr. Vance?
Yes, sir, on all 3 days, but I did talk to the school system first, I followed the chain of command, yes,
And
sir.
so now you're here.
And now I'm here, and no one can still give me answers, Mr. Newman. And it's just very concerning to me, until they've been in my position and watched their daughter lay there on an IV drop for 21 hours trying to reverse the side effects, and get told that if I hadn't have got her there in time, I wouldn't have her. They can't nearly imagine what I'm feeling or what it did to her medically.
Have you, and don't say any names, but have you went and talked to Ms. Parrish and told the individuals that are doing this?
I have, and I've come here and I've talked to, the Director of Transportation, and nothing still gets done about it. And when I talked to him about homebound, I got told that she either had to be pregnant or have a baby. Okay, I'm not about to let my 16-year-old do that, or be paralyzed. The school has it on file that she suffers from severe depression, anxiety, PTSD, PMDD, and ODD. So why can she not qualify for homebound? And then when I asked about homeschooling, they had absolutely no idea how to go about doing that. It was my responsibility to look up how to homeschool your child in Loudon County. And I'm really not trying to insult you, but you have about 3 board members that really care about the children. So please don't sit up there and tell me that you all care about the kids' welfare, because if you did, this wouldn't have happened. The only people trying to advocate for our kids is about 3 of your members and the parents for the kids. So until you've been in my shoes, please don't tell me how sorry you are or how I feel. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I would like an answer to your new policy, please, within the next 2 weeks, if that's, okay.
Lynn Greer, I'm a property owner in Loudon County. I just don't know where to start, so we're gonna start with the cameras and FERPA and the little private security people who, want to be able to identify students that might be a risk and spread it to the other schools without violating FERPA. Somebody might be a shooter, so we kick them out of this school. We need to let the other schools know. Don't look at me like I'm crazy. I sat right there and listened to him. Will they have access to the cameras and be able to back it up, or do they have to provide their own? And how much is it gonna cost? I'm thinking you're gonna run over $1 million to do that. And it's probably gonna cost you more than that, because you're saying they'll be working in concert with our SROs. But at this point, I feel like Mr. Vance won't be satisfied until the SROs are pulled out of the schools. And at that point, you will lose more money than you can believe, because Sweetwater, Vonore, Lenore City, and Sequoia will be flooded with Loudon County children will be jerking out of school so fast. Our SROs, and really, I only know 2 at this point. I've only got a child in 1 school at this point. Are there to protect our children. Are there to uphold the law in our schools, because our vice principals and principals are dealing with the little niggly stuff. Did you lay out of school? Did you talk back to a teacher? Did you do that kind of stuff? For the SROs get to handle drunk on campus, driving crazy in the parking lot, perhaps somebody with a weapon. We want them there. We appreciate them being there. And we insist that they stay there. And if you're gonna spend $1 million to insult them, why not spend $500,000 to make the parents happy? Now, homebound. Ms. Greer said something about her child not being allowed to be homebound unless they were pregnant or paralyzed. Is that true? That's not true? Is that what you told her? No? That's not what you told her? He's not gonna say it.
You can't.
Okay, well, he said it wasn't true, so I'm going to assume that if he can say it's not true about the policy, he can deny an accusation.
I wasn't looking at it, Glenn, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
I'm just saying we can't talk about individual students.
Well, I wasn't talking about individual students, I was just asking what he said. No?
In regards to an individual student. I know you're,
No,
I'm sorry.
no, you don't release that. Just keep your kids. Now back to the picture of the guy with the dead cat on his head. I spoke to you about it, and you said that you would speak to Miss Amber. Did you? That's not about a specific student, that's about, did you handle that?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not gonna respond. I want you to make sure you get an opportunity to speak.
I came to you with a problem not involving a student, and you said that you would refer it to Miss Amber. I guess not, huh? How about you, Mr. Simon? You said you'd look into it. Did you look into it?
This, I asked Jason to look into this, I have not personally known.
Has he got back to you?
No, ma'am.
All right. But we'll have an answer by next Thursday?
I
The
will.
policy that I'm referring to when it comes to that personal piece of equipment there, or that school piece of equipment there, states that while employees can take their equipment home, it needs to stay within their control when they have it there. She wasn't anywhere in that restaurant. So if you could just let us know next Thursday, I appreciate it. We back our SROs. And we're still not going away. Have a good one.
Very good.
Anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Craig Richardson. I went to school in Most Evans, grew up with all Evans. I told Nick yesterday I really don't want to speak, but I am concerned. Over the years, I've came to this, I've got friends that's here, and I'll be honest with you, Jason has been a real close friend of mine for years. And I don't know if he's changed or I was just Buffalo. I hope not. One thing I want to address, and one thing that we come to these meetings, you're asked lots of questions, this board is, you never give an answer, never. Not an answer ever been answered, period. You say, we'll get to that, we hear you, we hear you. There's never been an answer. I don't really hope Jason that. I hope the board, you're the one that's supposed to, you're the one that's condoning it. You wonder about the bullying that's going on in our classrooms. You just voted that bullying is okay by the school board by bullying your basketball coach. You're setting precedents for your kids of Loudon County. It's okay. And you say, just like you mentioned a minute ago, access to grind. I have lots of them, because I've got lots of good friends of mine, that if you go back and you look at the record, they were Tim Berry supporters. Every one of those don't work in Loudon County anymore, or they've been demoted. That was temporary supporters. I don't know. Coincidence? Might be. Could be.
Delegation.
One thing I understand I heard, the last meeting was at 3 o'clock. Most people work at 3 o'clock. It's very convenient. I understand that you're wanting to vote an extension for his contract. Is that true? I want to answer.
No,
Okay. When is his contract up?
3 years. After
Why would we
July
even
4th.
consider that?
Sir?
Why would that even be in consideration?
We didn't say that it was a consideration.
Craig, we had to give him a evaluation, and then the next month, it says in our policy that we can
Extend or not?
extend or not, yeah.
Okay.
It's on the announcement.
Yeah.
It's online.
It'll be discussed, but it takes a board motion to
Yes.
extend it.
But
It
his
takes
board-
somebody in the board
This
to,
board has voted.
We did
Most
not
of
extend
them
his
don't even
contract.
listen to what's going on half the time. I'm just concerned. I've been at these school board meetings and I've pushed to have Fort Loudon Middle School built. I've pushed to have Loudon High School done. I was happy for Greenback to get theirs, even the 200 or 300 kids that's there, they deserve it. But my kids,
I mean, the 700.
my daughter started in first grade to get her at middle school. She never saw it. She graduated college now. But I think just like you done for Beefy, you waited to the last minute for his 4-year contract. Let's look for the next 2 or 3 years, and if everything's good, all the bullying from all the principals and all of the administration here, if it all clears up and it's all good, then extend it. I think Jason does a great job in certain things. He really does. He's a very intelligent man. But just going ahead and blindly extending something, all right, give us time to trial. Do you realize there've been 6 teachers quit Fort Loudon Middle School this year before Christmas? Do you already know that?
No,
Why don't you? You're the school board.
You're the chairman.
Why do you not know that?
I've not been told.
Well, is it not your prerogative to know these
We
things?
set policy. Our only employee is this individual here. So if we require him to tell us that, then we would know. But we don't
Well, you
require him
should be
to.
in touch. I'll give you an
I
example.
mean, you're bringing it to our attention, I mean, yes. But
I know
normally,
you say-
that's not something that we would require of our director of schools to tell us at every board meeting who's been hired and fired. And I'm not trying to.
They didn't hire or fire, they quit because they was bullied.
Exactly.
My wife quit. Dr., I'm sorry, I forgot your last name.
Oh, no.
You told my wife, says, do not quit Fort Loudon Middle School. You are the face. You're the only one that's there all the time. You've been there 9 years. She came home crying every day for work. And I call up Jason. I said, can I have a talk with you? She's being bullied. She needs to be addressed. I told her to take these notes because I've got a business degree. I know the law. I know that we are setting ourselves up. And what it is, there's not a law that protects bullies. But bullying's what it is now is what is sexual harassment 20 years ago. You're going to come back 20 years from now and you're going to be liable for this stuff because they brought up for against the Supreme Court judge. He harassed a girl in high school at a drunk party. You're going to be looking back at this 20 years from now. They're going to say, you bullied and you voted to keep it.
Right.
So, we go through these things. You can say you don't listen to it. You let them go ahead and say, all right, it's good to have that. And whenever I brought this up about my own wife, she was there and offered a job for 3 years to go to work at Hawaii College for a grant. She turned it down 3 times. She says, I love the kids, I love where I'm working. She went through several different principals. So it ain't a personal principle. But all of a sudden she can't live without harassment until she, all of a sudden, the worker it was put in a closet, gave a job, and then all of a sudden The day she left, that person took her job and took her seat. They didn't even have a real job beforehand, but they's already hired. Now, I'll give Jason credit on this. He said, no, that won't be full-time. I thank you for that. That was good. But you are out of touch. You say we hear the community. I've never heard a response saying you heard anything. The only thing that we hear is you do not listen. You do not respond. And as far as people that's been here, I've got lots and lots of friends that are not employed with this county anymore. They gave their life to this county, born and raised here, and gave up because it's not worth fighting for it. They can get the same kind of pay at another county, keep their education, keep their retirement. But why do we want to run off on people that's born and raised here for other people? Now, if you want me to give you examples, I will be glad to give you examples. But we don't have that much time. So if you want to listen, you want to respond, judge and see. Go to each county's, go to Greenback. Have a meeting at Greenback next month. Go to Philadelphia next. Go to Fort Loudon. Go to Loudon Elementary. Go to North Middle. Go to the schools and have your meeting. And that way some people can actually come out and say, hey, do you realize what's going on in my school today? I had 6 teachers quit. You might know that. If you have a time that you go out and listen to people, it's very disheartening. So, thank you. And one other thing I was going to say, Dwayne Arp came up here and asked a question to this board months ago about valedictorian.
Yes, sir.
And you said, we hear you, but you did nothing about it. Because you said, oh, that'll make it where there's 3 people in tie at Loudon, there'll be 5 people tie at Greenback for valedictorian. So, when my niece graduated, there was 3 valedictorians for her class. But all of a sudden, behind closed doors, you had Jason Vance, Sherry Parrish, and the guidance counselor deciding that this weighted class is going to be more this time, starting in October. And that's like when you're going down for the touchdown, you're saying, oh, that touchdown's worth 18 points, and you're going to win by 1. It's not fair to the other 2 kids at Loudon and the 5 kids at Greenback. You say you want to be even and fair? That's not fair. And the class, Lenore City don't even recognize it being weighted. It's EMR, it is a first response thing compared to calculus. And you say it's the same? Come on, please. It's the same thing as my daughter took ag. It should not be the same as calculus. But that's what we said, and that way that person got to the valedictorian. That's not fair to the other kids. So, I apologize for taking up your time, but thank you.
Thank you.
Mine ain't got nothing to do with none of that, so I'm here kinda just because I was told to be here. But I've tried every which way it's possible to try to get my niece enrolled in Loudon High School. I went to the attorneys here in our local county, or our local right here, Fort Nicholas. I don't know if you're allowed to speak names, I don't know, I'm just a dumb country boy. But I've done everything possible. I've got everything stamped, sealed, everything that I'm supposed to have notarized by her parent, us, and everything by law. And yet the school board will still yet not let me enroll her. I've got medical things from the doctor that y'all stated y'all had to have. But yet you won't let me enroll her in school. So tell me what I need. Do I need blood? I mean, I'm serious. The child can't sit out of school forever. Somebody let me enroll this child.
And she has to be in my custody.
Yeah. So,
Tommy, one of the things we've done in the past with the situation like yours, that's why I wanted you to come tonight, is that I think what we've done is we've let you, the judge, signs off on that. And when the judge signs off on it, you should be good
There's
to go.
nothing for a judge to sign
Well,
off,
all
Scott.
you gotta do is take that from.
This paper right here, this is all in TSA, this is all the TCA, this is everything that y'all need.
I'm just going by what our policy is. Now, here's what you do, is give me a holler tomorrow, or have Owen call me, and then we'll call, and talk to Hank Sledge, and he'll fill that and get.
What is he supposed to sign?
I don't know but it
This
says
is
you got
from the-
custody of it. You gotta have custody of it.
This is
A,
guardianship. This is what this is.
yeah, let me see it.
Okay, and then when I went to the school, Ms. Parrish and the council, they give me, come back with this piece of paper here. I got this piece of paper here, and I got the letter that they needed by the doctor. So I mean, y'all got me running around in circles. And it shouldn't be this complicated, it really shouldn't. I'm not no rocket science, and that's what we're trying to make this out to be, is some kind of rocket science treatment. No, it shouldn't be this complicated. I mean, I don't know nobody's name here, I know Scotty Newman's. So, okay,
You still don't know anybody's name.
that's it.
Scotty, I mean, yeah, can we,
It's like
can
we've
we
had
help you
before.
out? I mean,
I mean,
It's like we had before, he's got a power of attorney, and if, he
Yeah, I
can go up there and
remember.
talk to Hank, and they would. It's been signed.
it's been notarized.
It's been signed and notarized by
didn't we approve somebody just like that, or did we get the judge to sign? The judge
We've
did.
done it in the past with the notoriety, with the notarized seal.
Yeah, but the notary doesn't have much power to it.
Yeah.
This is,
Right.
everything's notarized.
Y'all wanna see it?
I mean, I didn't know I was supposed to print copies.
No, you know, we're gonna give it back to you, I'm just trying to get you in the right direction.
I'm just,
And see what.
Tommy, we gotta work on this policy, it's awful policy, we know, we're not,
The difference.
You call me. Well, nobody does. Call me first thing in the morning, we'll get it.
Scotty, can you help me on this?
Yeah, we'll go.
Thank you.
so you got my back?
Yeah.
He's got it here, we won't rip it up, I promise.
I don't mean to come off.
No, it's, we don't,
Alright.
I don't mean to choose Scotty.
Is that going to accept? Okay, alright, I'll see you tomorrow. Y'all have fun.
Next. Anyone else like some?
Yeah, I have some questions on a couple of things I would like to ask for copies for. Or if you can just answer me. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Sharman.
Thanks for
Coming
coming,
in.
Charlie.
Call us. Okay. One, talking about the security cameras, can someone answer how much we have spent on, in the past, in our school systems for all the cameras and the security that the SROs use?
To put them in place, you mean?
Period, just the use and everything. Can you throw me out a number? And how much of that money is being
Jason will get
federally?
that by next Thursday.
I'm sorry, who is?
Mr. Vance.
Mr. Vance.
I need to write this down because, you know, I don't trust words. Next Thursday? And out of that money, I want to know how much has been out of grants and federally funded, not out of taxpayers' dollars. Can you verify the difference or itemize the difference?
Yes, that should be easy.
Oh, well, we're just going right along, aren't we? Okay.
Glad
Then,
to help you,
no, I know you are. And I'm all over the place, so I'm sorry. I know y'all don't make a lot of money, school board members, but you make something. Can you throw that number out to me?
It's like 300 a month.
Three, yeah.
300 a month? Yeah. Woo. I like that more now. Okay.
Yes.
All right, then, I'm trying to be nice. I had asked in previous times, who is in charge? And I just listened to you say, you are the school board, you are the head, you have one employee. Is that correct, what you said, Shirley?
Yes.
But you cannot control your one employee. Is that true? Because then when I asked you about who's in charge about making the rules of what someone can do, you always say he's,
Charmony's under contract, and so we ensure that he adheres to his contract and his policies, and we've hired counsel to ensure that he does that. I may not agree with those outcomes, but that's where,
Set up by state law.
yes, that's the law.
by state law.
And
Then, on your agendas, like your little papers saying what we're gonna do and stuff, I was under the assumption when you typed that we're having a discussion over a certain matter, like at the school board meetings. Just, can you define discussion and what it entails? This is a
this
discussion.
is a discussion.
But voting is voting a discussion.
We don't vote in this meeting.
No, we don't vote in this meeting, I'm not sure what you're getting.
Okay, but in a school, like next Thursday, on your plans, there'll be a discussion of whatever. His contract, that's what's on there.
We're not gonna vote on.
Is there
his
a
contract.
discussion also entitled voting?
Maybe, possibly.
Thank you. You have to move over. I can answer.
I'll give it to him, I don't care.
Depends on what the meeting is.
Yeah.
The workshop, you don't go to the workshop, it's a meeting, it's called special.
Bobby, I don't even want to talk to you. Sorry, I mean,
I don't really wanna listen to you.
that's good, because if you had been at the last meetings, January, February and stuff, you would have known.
Sharma, what I meant to say by that is if it's an
Still
open
waiting on
meeting.
Dale to bring me the packet he was gonna bring me, since you brought it up.
In an open meeting that's been scheduled and properly announced, we can vote on it.
I'm just asking.
No, and I'm just trying to be,
Yeah, okay.
trying to be civil with you.
Yeah.
This is a workshop, we do
Yeah, I
not
just,
vote at these.
okay. And besides me getting the copies of the money, I'm good with that.
Did you not get the copies?
No, I just asked, you said it'll be next Thursday on the camera system.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
okay, stay with me.
Just trying to make sure you got something that you
No.
asked for.
And I feel like some of the money that goes to that camera system is specifically stated for the SROs. Unless I'm mistaken. Now, Bill Lee has got a bill up that's going to help schools that don't have SROs, but it's also gonna help schools that do have SROs with, security measures. So it kinda seems a little cheesy to let our SROs be locked out of going back and looking at stuff when that is part of the security. And I would specifically like to see if there was money that went towards those cameras for the use of the SROs.
The SROs are not school employees.
No, they're not, but if that money is coming from a law enforcement grant, it entitles them to that. That is part of the deal for them
It
putting the
would be
money
out
in.
of grant money, you're right. But let me just say this. And there was some things about us being out of touch, and that was absolutely true. I don't know everything that goes on, I'll be the first one to admit it.
Would you like me to call you and let you know?
Sure.
Okay.
Have I ever denied your call?
No. All right. You got it.
I mean, honestly, I'm not,
Okay.
I'm trying to do the best I can. I can
Okay.
tell you this, I've worked with law enforcement in this county,
Right.
and you all know that I'm part of this community too. Maybe not as long as everyone else, but that's why I'm gonna let you all talk, and you're here, and I'm not trying not to insult anybody, and I'm trying to take this all in. I do not know everybody's circumstance, but I'd love to hear it.
Okay.
And I do very much value everything you all have to say, and I think you understand that too. We will fix this SRO situation. we will fix this bullying situation. I don't know everything, but we're working on it.
Okay.
We have not extended a contract. We're not trying to do things sneakily. I'm trying to do the best I can here, and I believe we all are. We understand your feelings, but please understand, I'm tied to what litigation and what the legal team do to me. Now, maybe we can change our law firm, I don't know, but right now, I'm trying to work with the information that we've hired and have been given to us. And we know there's things to work on here, and we'll try and work on it. I don't know what happened to the young lady that spoke earlier, that one.
She had a track meet to go to. Miss Greer, the other Miss Greer,
She had to pick her son
from the track meet?
The young lady that had 3 days from being.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was another Miss Greer.
Okay, I thought it was, but I
We're
wasn't sure.
multiplying. And no relation.
Listen, all I'm saying is that's an
It's
if what I heard
disgusting,
was
isn't
all
it?
true, that's an unsad situation. I'm not saying anybody's lying, that sounded awful to me, okay? So that's why all I can do, and I did not know about it, so all I can do is ask about it.
So you really want me to let you know when stuff like this comes up?
Sure,
Will you do anything about it, or
I'll
am
do what I
wasting air?
can. I mean, like I say, realize, we are not involved in day-to-day operation of the school system. We hire the director of schools to do
And you
that.
make sure that he follows policy and rules and laws?
We can enforce that, yes.
All right, that's what I needed to know. So basically, if I'm just mad at him, be mad at him, go away. But if I have a valid problem, you will deal with it.
Yes, if it's
All right.
valid and it's reasonable, then, I mean, come on,
Okay.
I'm not gonna, I mean, that's what we're here for.
Let me make a comment, if I might, about the whole conversation we're having tonight. The SRO issue nationwide has been a major problem. And the problem is because the SROs are not employees of the school district, and as a result, they don't fall into the chain of command under the authority of the superintendent of schools. They work for the sheriff's department. And so the point of contention is this an educational issue or is this a law enforcement issue? And that conflict between the two and who's in charge is, many school districts are having that problem. That's really the issue underlying this whole.
Okay, granted, many schools have lots of issues that we don't have in our small communities. We know, right? Okay, so let's knock out 90% of the schools we're talk about ours.
No, I don't, we can't knock out 90% of them.
Why?
Almost all of them have that problem.
Yeah.
Now, the resolution of it is a well-written, well-enforced MOU, and that's something that fell between the cracks.
Okay. We need our SROs.
We're not getting rid of our SROs.
No, we're not getting rid of it.
Period.
They need to be under the control of the sheriff, not of the director of schools.
Absolutely.
Just like the
What was your
teachers
answer?
need to be
Hold on.
under
What was
the
your
school
answer?
venue
Yes.
and not Tim's.
What I said was is that we have an MOU with guidance from the state, and again, I go back to the legal stuff, that's what I said, we're gonna go with that. I don't know what it is, when I say we go with it, I'm gonna ask Scotty and all of us to be involved in this, but we, the doc's telling you the truth, it's a problem everywhere. We're gonna iron it out, okay? That's all I can tell you, we will iron it out, but you're not gonna lose SROs. The safety of these kids are of utmost importance to us.
Okay.
So, and you can laugh at me all you want, but it's the truth. Okay, I used to be one, but who knows me, knows that I spent 5 to 10, I can't remember whether it's 7 years as a Loudon County Reserve. So yes, I understand what they do. And yes, I understand if there's an emergency, they need to be able to respond.
Yes.
So we know there's situations that we need to work on here.
And,
But
you know,
don't lose the
so-
fact that what he said is true. It's a problem everywhere. It's the same problem whether it's Knox County or here. The whole state, the whole country's having issues with it. So that's all he was trying to say. I'm sorry.
But, so here's my question. What teacher wants to wade in on 2 6'3" boys having a brawl down the front hall?
They don't have to. I
No,
don't believe.
because we have SROs.
Right.
Right, so,
We're not getting rid of the SROs.
okay, all right, we'll take your word for it.
Sharon, look up.
Okay, my question is, I heard you say yes. I think what I'm getting confused with here is, you said you have the superintendent and you have our SROs, and they're not employed, so he can't tell them what to do through the schools. They're not employed through the school system, they're through the sheriff's department, but the problem is because the problem is he can't tell them what to do because they're not employed under him.
I didn't say that.
Is that what our issue is here? Because first of all, they serve and protect above anyone.
Right.
They should be above a superintendent.
The question is it a legal, a law enforcement issue, or is it an educational issue?
If we have them in that school system, I think no matter where the police are, if they're walking down the street, they have all control. They're ahead, they're above.
Prevail.
Because they are here to protect and serve.
At the end of the day, Sharon, we're gonna work this out with recommendation from TOS and recommendation from the sheriff's department, and we will come to an agreement on this. And I know it's a very delicate situation, yes, it's not a cut and dry, sure, I can give you the example of an emergency, yes, the police that's cut and dry.
Can we
There's
grant
others
the
that aren't.
SROs access to pass the video until you all put the rules out, put it back the way it was before last week?
I'm not sure the way.
That's my question.
Help me out. Yes,
Thank you, Sheriff.
If I could,
Come in.
Mr. Chairman, I'm good right here. And I wasn't gonna say anything, but based on what I'm hearing, I'm here for two reasons. And that is to give our SROs the ability to review video. I have enjoyed a great relationship with the school board. Jason, we've always had a good relationship. We've always been able to talk until now. Now, it seems like I have to talk through an attorney to Jason. He has to talk to me through his attorney. And that ain't the way it should be. But our SRO, we found out we didn't have access anymore. When we tried to get access, and we were told we didn't have access unless we went through the principal or the director.
Wow.
That is unacceptable. And we're gonna work it out. And we're meeting next Tuesday. And with the, hopefully get a good MOU in place.
Sheriff Ryder, I mentioned that Scotty mentioned it, I didn't know this. Okay, Jason said they hadn't changed, I don't know, all we can do is work on it to go forward.
Because he don't tell you.
So is it gonna go back to what it was?
I can't answer that, I'm not sure what it was before.
You don't know what it was.
I don't know what it was before.
Tim, tell him what it was
We had
before.
access to the back.
Tell him what it was before Jason changed it.
Well, we have access just like they do, and when we get reports of incidents, we go back and review, and we can't do that.
Since last Monday? Not this past Monday, but since Monday
It's
before?
been a week or so.
And it pertains to my child.
Somebody's kid.
So what happens if something horrible happens in this school systems in Loudon County and nothing can be proven or done because what has happened with our cameras? And I don't speak, and I am from Loudon County. I have been from Loudon County longer than you, or probably most of you. My kids are in the school system. I want them taken care of. It's not your job, it's not your job. It's the police department and the SRO officers.
Exactly.
This is unreal.
Again, at first I heard
What's
that,
gonna happen between now and next Tuesday if something happens?
I don't believe there's anything stopping the SROs under an emergency to look at the cameras.
Bull.
He just said that.
Hold on, that's,
He just said
they what? But they have to do it with the principal? Is that what's changed?
We
That's
never
what
done
changed.
that.
That's
It's
what
never
changed.
been that way till this past week.
Scott, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what we're saying.
I was just told back here, there is no capability to go back on these cameras, that it has been stopped.
I got this from Mrs. Estes.
So you're talking two different issues.
Yeah, I
We
think
do
they're
not
two,
have that ability currently, and like,
those aren't
Now,
our.
you're talking about the 911 cameras.
Yeah, that's
We're
not our
talking-
camera.
We're talking about the cameras inside the school.
cameras go to the 911 in case
Yeah.
we need them. Let's have cool heads and come up with a great MOU that will be beneficial.
Absolutely.
But in the
But
meantime,
until
No, I heard you. Is there any reason we can't have the SROs look at these cameras without the principal if they feel the need until we get our policy in place?
I feel
Is there anything keeping us from doing that?
My answer to, Mr. Chairman, I would appreciate, I'll tell you what, it's challenging for me to sit in meetings and people speak very specifically.
Can you speak up?
We're just asking a general question here, Jason. I mean, it
So
sounds
our
like.
school board attorney has advised us to encourage SROs, if they should need to go back and look at review videotape, to do so through the principal until they have an opportunity to complete a MOU with Sheriff's Department. And Tim Guider is a great sheriff. I think that Tim Guider's a great man.
Hold on. So this came at the recommendation of council.
I love our school resource officers. Man, we've got a good group of folks that do a really good job to support our kids. And, I cannot believe that people would try to pit me against them. I think they do a great job for the most part. I will conclude by saying, based on, information that we have, that we've got some folks that, at least an individual that we feel is being inappropriate in regard to releasing student, confidential information. And with that being said, our council has encouraged us to wait until we get a good MOU in place in order to be able to access fully with everybody else. With that being said, to my knowledge, there's not been one request from the Sheriff's Department that's not been granted at this point in time.
So what I heard you say is that you were given direction by council based on the situation until we get an MOU to not look at.
school board council or his personal?
Hold on a second.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, earlier, Mr. Newman questioned Mr. Vance. He did something without acknowledging his board, which you said is your employee. He did this on his own. I know he has children in the school. We have children in the school. It is our SROs and those cameras, just the cameras alone, is not to protect one child, it is to protect the whole. Correct? Then, since Mr. Vance did this without acknowledgement, until you do come up with whatever it is, this little MMO or MHMO or whatever, I feel like it should be brought from the board that you have your little IT guy go back and erase whatever they did to block our sheriff's department and our SROs. Because he broke chain of command.
It goes back to the point that I made a while ago. Is it an educational issue or?
He did something without asking.
Let me give you an example. I have a child in Loudon County Schools. He winds up a piece of paper in his mouth and shoots at a little girl as a spitwire. Is that something the school should deal with it, or is that something that we should report to the sheriff?
You had a mother, I can't believe y'all are doing this. You had a mother standing up
If you
here
look at what goes on
worried that her
with-
daughter would commit suicide and he couldn't look for her. How can y'all sit here as human beings?
Did he
say-
ask?
She asked.
Yeah.
She stood here as his mother. She asked.
Is he awake?
I'm sorry.
Those SROs all have to go through a training, and that, what you're talking about, we all know that there's difference between their kids are getting fights that they deal with at the school level. There are situations where a kid is out of control, and they deal with it at the sheriff's department. Or with the when I was SRO, that's how we done it. And there's a totally different thing. But here's the thing about it, is it's always been this way. They come together and they determine what's going on. They work great up till the last few months. We worked great with the administration. And so now all of a sudden we have an issue, and I'll go back to what I said, is I believe that Mr. Vance changed the policy without the consent of this board. And I know that there's probably an argument, but anything that I've ever been to, any kind of training I've ever had for supervision is that If you allow something to go on all the time, it becomes policy. And so for the last, I was SRO in 2001. And so, ever since then, we've had school resource officers since, you put the first ones in there, 91, 92? So, anyway, it's always been that way, is that we can go back and look at video cameras if they're accessible.
I just wanted to ask one,
Yes, sir.
there was a comment made that the videos were getting, passed on to third parties or whatever. I'm not aware of any of that now. Has it happened that you know of? Really?
Mr. Vance.
Get it?
Not the body
School
camera
video.
video.
School video?
School videos.
Really?
Who did you complain
Very
to?
quick.
I've been told this anyway.
I don't know it. And if it's, if we, I don't know it.
Okay, well, we
I'd
can't,
like to be made aware of it.
Chief Carter did,
Well taken. Sheriff, Sheriff Guy, we love your support. We will work with you on this issue. We will.
And that shouldn't be done. That shouldn't be going on.
No, I don't know.
To do with that.
I don't know either. There's a lot of stuff being said and whatnot. Hold on, Young, I will get to you. But I assure you, we will work to get a resolution on this. Now, I don't think I could cure tonight because I can't vote on anything, is what Scott's issue is with.
Did you
that
get
he's
a
bringing
letter
up.
from, who got a letter from the lawyer?
I didn't get a letter saying
We
that.
didn't get one as a board.
No.
So to go with what Scotty says, we need to keep up with what we've been doing.
I agree with that. So,
Right.
I don't know that we can, all that we can say is, I can't,
Well, tell him, and if he doesn't do it, that's insubordination.
I'd say we need to go back to what we were doing before.
Amen.
Until we get a resolution.
Thank you.
Now, hold on. Again, if I get something from legal that says something different, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna go with that.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So if council has given this directive based off of a FERPA violation of a video that has got out, and there's been no complaint to the sheriff, that the video has gone out, it's hearsay.
I don't have that, Brian.
I don't understand,
I don't know either.
I don't understand how council can come and tell us to do something
He didn't tell us.
when
I don't have that.
That's right.
substantiate the claim.
Yeah, no, I hear you. You got a
I
point.
mean,
Again, let us fetter some of this stuff out. Brian's got a point. I hear what Scotty's saying, and yes, he's got a point about setting precedents. You just heard me ask him to go back to the basic precedents. If I get something from the council that overrules it,
But tomorrow
then that will
morning,
change.
all the SROs should be able to backtrack.
If they can do it that quick, how can we fix
Well,
that?
that's our quick.
Hey, I want to make sure that we're on the same page here. I'm telling you as a board that I believe that there are some inappropriate release of student confidential information in the community. And I think I'm hearing you tell me that that's okay, that we should continue to accept. But that's what you guys.
You should be telling the sheriff.
We're just asking you to go back to the way it was before.
What
as
what
far
I'm
as
telling you
access
is to go back to the way it was before creates a situation that's inappropriate for the board. And Mr. Guyder's office should have some information, if not already, between now and Tuesday, in relation to a complaint.
well, here's the thing. There's not been any kind of complaint filed.
Yes.
We've not been.
Not the board.
The school board attorney has spoken, has got that information, and he will deliver it on behalf of the Board of Education.
On behalf of the Board of Education.
That's your board.
That don't sound right.
No. I knew he was gonna have a meeting with him, but that's all. I mean, they're gonna work on an MOU.
There's a lot you don't know.
Guys, stay cool here, okay? Listen, we're gonna work this situation out. We are gonna get an MOU. And I think what Jason's talking about is that we're trying to work an MOU with him. But I don't know much beyond that. And that's the honest truth.
When will the cameras be fixed?
I think as quickly as possible.
He didn't
No.
answer
What
it.
is that?
Yeah, I'm telling you, they got access to them right now with principals if they got.
That's not what.
Hold on.
No.
We don't need that. We've got, it sounds like, Scotty, we're saying they need to have access to it without the principals. Hold on. Scotty, they have to have access.
I think so.
Well, that's what
I
I'm.
think so.
I need your help, because I don't know the.
We got a man back there, Sheriff Guy, I have the utmost confidence that if he's got somebody doing something they're not supposed to be doing, he's gonna handle it.
That's right.
He's gonna handle it.
Scotty, I'm just asking your help, because I don't know what the
Yes,
difference
no matter
is.
Yes.
So I need help on going back to the way
They
it
should
was.
be able to go back and look at the video cameras if they need to.
They should be able to
They should
rewind.
have to go find, because tell me this, if you're out here at the high school and there's something
I'm okay with it, I don't have.
what if the principals assault? They need to be with SRO, can look at it without the principal.
There you go. Win.
Yes, sir, back there.
Are you asking him or telling him?
I told him.
Okay, one clarification.
I have a question right quick.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
He said, I think Mr. Vance said he talked to a lawyer or whatever. Are you all paying for that lawyer? That he's getting advice from, or is
They
it a
don't know
personal
yet.
lawyer?
They don't know yet.
Or you all paying for his going to a lawyer without, okay?
We don't pay for Jason's personal lawyer, no.
He's
If
with
it's
the
a
county
school
lawyer.
system related
Well,
issue,
is it the
that's possible.
school, did he talk to his own personal lawyer?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Can he answer?
No,
He's asked,
Did you ask him?
Hold on a second.
he has asked our school board attorney to set up a meeting with the sheriff's department
Yes.
for them to work out a draft of an MOU to bring back to us.
That's not my question. My question is, he said he saw, with advice of the lawyer, I'm asking, is it his personal lawyer?
I just told you.
No,
It's the school board.
So we're paying for it, for him to get advice?
Yeah, it's all
We're
right.
paying for our school board attorney to work with the sheriff's department to collectively create an
I
MOU.
understand that, but I'm talking about, he's already done that. He went to the lawyer to get it.
Our lawyer.
That's what he says.
I don't know, he changed the rule and changed the whole.
well, we just changed it back.
Okay, cameras will be up and running Monday. I mean,
I
tomorrow.
certainly hope so. I don't know how to check that. I'm sorry.
But our
It's not
SRO
the-
officers our SRO officers will be able to look at that, because sometimes the principal's not there if it's an emergency.
That's what this board just instructed Jason
Okay,
to
that's
do.
what I
Yes.
want to know.
It wasn't just me, it was this board.
Thank you.
Okay.
It was me.
Do we have a date? You said
They
soon, I
Right,
mean,
listen.
See, here's the piece that I don't understand, Sharp, and please don't tear me up. I don't know what it takes electronically to turn those cameras back on.
it didn't take, but it took a couple of buttons, it didn't take nothing. It didn't take no time at all for him to
Well, then it
turn
should
them off,
be-
so.
Then it should be pretty quick. I'm just saying, I don't know what it takes to do that, but we'll,
Sheriff Guider can tell you.
yes, sir.
Oh, I can, I can't tell you, I would like to know too, you know,
Will the cameras be
I
up?
don't know how simple it is or how difficult it is, you know, but
Mr. Vance?
I'm asking that we have access.
And we just instructed Dr. Vance to
Do
do
we know
that.
how?
Just go back to the way it was before, whatever that was, and again, forgive me, I'm not exactly sure, but to where they have access to it.
Just
And I'm asking Scotty for a little help on that, because I don't know how to verify it.
as soon as practical, right?
As soon as practical, yes. And I hope that not, Scotty, can you please help me with that? I don't know how to check that.
I don't either, I'm not a video guy, I guess when they come in tomorrow, they can see if they can try to access it, you know.
I'm not sure it'll be immediately in the morning, but I mean,
I think that Jared just has to do something on the computer and then clears it all up.
That's what I'm saying, I don't know either, so. I just don't want you all to accuse me of not doing it if it's not done at 8:15 in the morning, just because I don't know.
Would
I'm
it
sorry,
be-
ma'am, you've been waiting to talk. Yes, you.
In the event, I'm Kathy Ballard, by the way.
Thank you, Kathy.
In the event of an emergency in our schools, the SRO officer who has the body cam not only has evidence of impending danger, but he also has evidence to protect himself, should there be a question later on. The gentleman, the nice gentleman that's gonna look at everything and help us sort out the security, 7 minutes. In 7 minutes' time, with the armory that's available for anyone on the market today, there's no telling how many children could be murdered by the time he gets from where his point is to the principal to even say, we need a lockdown. You know, all our children's safety is the uttermost. They're our future. They're God-given blessings. And I don't know, the SROs are there to help everyone. They don't pick on anyone that I've ever heard of. The law is the law. If you are armed to carry a weapon, and I know this is not a good argument, because there's crazy people that carry guns. But in the event of anybody feeling that they are in danger or lost, they have the right to protect themselves. Now, why would we deny outside help? I know you say you're going to get to that, but the law is the law. Whether it's at Loudon County Schools or whether it's in Knox County.
Ma'am, I have every bit of faith in Sheriff Guider and his people, and if
I
there's an
do
emergency,
too.
they will.
I'm not questioning Mr. Guider. I'm questioning the changes, not just for my child or these other people's children. You know, that SRO there is not just there to enforce.
We know that, we're fixing it.
He's there to counsel and help.
Yes, ma'am.
And to say that this SRO's boss does not have access because he's got to go through a policy and procedure and rechange on that, you're cutting off what, 5 more minutes? 2 minutes?
I didn't know this happened, we just fixed it. And I'm
Thank
sorry, you can laugh me all you want, I didn't know, we're working on it.
Whether it happened or not, it's pitiful as we as adults.
He got guidance from council, okay, we gotta work on it, I know you're frustrated. Listen, I assure you, we will work on this issue and we will get to where it's safe.
We've never had an issue before with the SRO.
Let poor old Kathy go, she's been standing up
I
there
know,
for
I'm
hours.
sorry, Kathy.
One thing I'd like to say is, we have heard from everybody the same complaint over and over. I don't think
Well,
there's
there's something about it.
I don't appreciate you interrupting me.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sure you are. There are protocols for public meetings, even workshops, and it's disrespectful, not polite, and just plain old rude for everybody to talk at the same time. I appreciate your concerns, but this is not the way to handle it.
Do you work
Thank
for
you, Ms.
Mr.
President.
Vance?
I am freelance.
That's what we know, yeah.
I'm sure you do.
Go ahead,
too.
go ahead.
I didn't see you.
That's okay, go ahead. I've waited this long.
I'm sorry.
I'm Bob
Everyone will get to speak.
Go ahead.
I'm Bob Miles, and I didn't mean to speak tonight, but there's something on the agenda, and it reminded me of, it's about the textbooks. And it reminded me that I got up here 3 or 4 years ago
I remember.
and talked against y'all teaching Islam to our kids in Loudon County schools, especially under a particular textbook you were using by the Macmillan Publishing Company. It was either that or Pearson Publishing. And it doesn't really matter because one of them bought out the other one. And if you'll do your research like I had before I got up, that publishing company is owned by a Muslim country. Anyway, you were teaching Islam. And I think Jason had a teacher that even come in with that textbook, and we had a big discussion about teaching of Islam that night.
Well, I think the discussion was that all religions were included. I remember that discussion very well. All religions were discussed.
Yes, but we have that book. We had to buy that book to see what was in it. And we have that book. We know what was being taught.
All I'm saying is it was, the results of that meeting was, from the teacher now, I was
Yes.
here, I remember like the back of my hand, she said, and she talked that it went through all the different religions, and she pointed them out. It wasn't just about the Muslim religion, it was also a state curriculum, as I recall, right?
Study of world religions is what it is.
Yes. So,
See, here's the difference between people like us and somebody else, because Islam is not a religion. It is a cult. It was was formed by a pedophile who started his own cult. And that grew to people who will even kill people if they try to back out of it. Just like he killed people if they didn't get into it. So I had a discussion about that. But the reason I'm standing up tonight is, are we still teaching Islam to our kids in Loudon County schools?
Are we teaching Islam or are we teaching about Islam?
Either one.
Well, would
Or
you
if
not
you're
wonder
teaching about
what you were
Islam, you
just
need to be
describing
teaching the correct about.
What you were just describing about Islam just now, don't you think our children should be aware of that?
No, not Islam. You can teach anything you want to as far as I'm concerned, but not Islam. You were not taught Islam, I bet, when you were in school, because I sure were not. And I guarantee you some of you sitting here were not taught about Islam. All of a sudden it pops up because of that book and because of Common Core and Toss, who is all for Common Core and wants everybody to go to Common Core, Department of Education and all that. I don't want to get into all that. I just want to know, are we still teaching Islam to our kids?
We're teaching about it.
You're teaching about it. Are you still using that particular book?
I don't know.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Is it still being taught to the 7th grade social studies classes?
You probably don't know.
I'm not sure.
He said one sure, 6 or 7.
Can, not tonight, but sometime
Bring the lady
later.
back and talk to about it again if you want.
And it's still it's in the state curriculum also.
That's,
Oh, I know that. That's the Tennessee Department of Education.
Yes.
But, can I find out maybe later what textbook you're using?
absolutely.
Mr. Miles, I had a lot of questions about the teaching of Islam. I had a lot of people coming to me and asking me, and I didn't know. If you remember, I was the chairman doing that, and I asked that's Jason to get the teacher to come in here. And I also had some pastors that I know personally that come in, and one of them stood up and, well, he's the mayor of Loudon now, made the comment about, it's good that, because I think a concern you had back then is that you found out somewhere in Middle Tennessee, some other, there were some teachers that were putting they were basically changing the curriculum.
Some of them, yes.
And that's what we were doing, was we were making sure that we weren't doing that we weren't going and putting, the teacher wasn't putting her 2 cents in, because she may be a Muslim and trying to influence a child that way. And I think that was your concern. I'm not trying to put.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Because there were some people that were making their class recite the 5 pillars of Islam.
Yeah.
And when they do that, they are automatically a Muslim in the eyes of the Muslim world. And I know y'all were not doing that. But Sullivan County School District just voted, I think yesterday,
Monday night.
to continue teaching Islam.
Yeah, Sullivan County had quite a disgruntled bunch of people there Monday night at their school board meeting. And don't think it isn't coming here. It is. I mean, you can put blinders on or whatever you want to do. It's coming here. But Monday night, Sullivan County School Board voted to keep using a book that says God and Allah are the same people. Let me tell you, the school board will be held responsible when Judgment Day comes. And if you think I'm crazy, read your Bible and see.
I don't believe our textbook says that.
But I just wanted to know tonight if we were still teaching Islam and if we were teaching it out of that book.
Mr. Miles, sir, I don't believe the curriculum has changed from what it was when you were reviewing and
I don't
studying.
think it has.
Okay, thank you.
And that's what is that correct? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Pat.
Time's up, man.
You have all the time you want this one.
My name is Pat Hunter, and I am very concerned about everything that I've been hearing. I guess I was there at the beginning, or I have been for many years, hearing the discussion from Commission's viewpoints about funding the SROs. And safety has been the most important issue, to provide safety to our children, to our students, to our teachers, to the staff, to everyone that's involved in the education process. And we pay our tax money to ensure that safety. But I'm very concerned. I heard during your budget amendments that you're going to increase your legal by $100,000. And I'm worried that you're increasing your legal in part because the director went and did something without your knowledge and consent. Now, you know, that may not be a concern of Mr. Vance. He doesn't live here. I have always objected to that. I think he should live in our community and be part of our community. Now, when the director goes and does something, such as the memorandum of understanding, which is extremely important, this board should have been notified from the onset. You should be part of that process. You create the policies, and you should be approving any change to a memorandum of understanding when it has to do with the safety of our children. What concerns me is that for all the years that I've been going to school board meetings, the only thing I've ever heard are accolades for our sheriff's department, as it should be. And if there's an issue with an SRO or something that may have involved information that was, you know, distributed that should not have been, that should have been that you should have been consulted first of all, and that the sheriff should have been consulted. And I think it's absolutely wrong to you know, not to let the SROs to look at that video, that security camera, because they should have access. If a kid is seen in a setting of having a gun and they have to go back and check it, they have to do it immediately or as soon as they learn, because we cannot wait. Waiting could make a difference between life and death. So I think it's real serious. The other concern that I have is I made a records request to see the contract between the school board and your legal, only to be told that you have no contract. I have a big concern about that. You're using a company, a firm, and yet you haven't approved this contract with the firm. The county has a firm. They approved that contract years ago. So, you know, I think there's some important things that are falling between, you know, the cracks, that there's a disconnect between the board and the director. Amen. And that is what concerns me, because some of these issues are real important. The issue of the bullying. I can't believe it. We have policies that protect a child against bullying. And yet, I heard the story from the parent. I received an anonymous letter about bullying. And yet, I haven't heard anything about bullying other than you approved a policy that obviously, or at least from what it sounds from my viewpoint, it's not being enforced. And this is a serious issue that needs to be addressed by this board. If you have policies, and I have harped about this for years, you have to follow your policies. That's all there is to it. Mr. Simon, you promised me that you were going to follow policy. And, you know, the out-of-county student policy, that was just sort of put into limbo. Dr. Oven, you're supposed to be working on that, and we should have already heard about it. Parents have a right to know whether their children can come or not. It should be cut and dried, and anybody should be able to read that. We're either going to have children here that are out of county. I personally disagree with that. I'm a taxpayer, and when you're talking about raising my taxes anywhere from 13 cents to 30 cents because you're going to have a shortfall, I want to make sure that my property taxes go to children that live here.
Amen.
And if you want to allow out-of-county students, then we're gonna have to talk about something equitable as such as tuition. So, like I said, you know, you brought someone in that wasn't on the agenda. Obviously, someone knew he was gonna be here because he was here, talking about security. It's my understanding that on a yearly basis, Homeland Security has a yearly assessment of all the schools. And all of these assessments, you know, you should be listening to what the experts are saying and making sure that those issues are addressed. You have the 177, the AFT tax. If you need to do something with the schools, the money is there. I've asked you to look into a capital projects budget. You still ignore everything that I say. Now, you know, this is, to me, it makes good sense to use money that we have in our coffers for the security of our schools, our children. So I hope that you, you know, address some of these issues. And like I said, I'm real concerned that there is a big disconnect between the board and the director when he can go and do something and you have no knowledge. You know, I'm sorry, but if you're looking to renew the contract of the director, that in itself should be an absolute no. That's right. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? The red shirt, I felt like I cut you off. Did you still?
Me?
No, the young lady. Yes, you.
No, sir, you didn't.
Are you sure?
My main point here is that, you know, we all have children that are in need of protection and being looked at, and no one person has the right to defile the law and get away with it. Whether it be the councilman's understanding or policies and procedures or the way it used to be, I'm sorry. No one person should be able, and I understand him wanting to protect our juveniles. But there is so many children there, and so many things that can go wrong quickly, that SRO officer has to react in a second. And he has to answer to his boss. And anything that's done to deter him from following his policies and procedures the ways he's been taught, I'm sorry, I just don't understand that.
I can assure you we'll work on it.
Thank you so much.
Not only will we work it, we will fix it. Yes, ma'am.
I have one question. What will it take to get the hiring and firing of the teachers back into approval from the board before it's done, like it used to be?
Changing state law.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, do we need to go to the state on it? Okay.
Unfortunately, not.
Because since this administration, and I don't know how many board members are aware, are y'all aware how many teachers or people that have been brought in from Monroe County to Loudon County schools by him? Very good teachers let go from Loudon County schools for no reason. And I can call you names and show proof that he has let go, that is in Knox County, Anderson County, Blount County, that's doing excellent. It benefited them, but at the time, they loved Loudon County. But he's running our teachers off and bringing his people in. We're supplying Monroe County, and they don't give us nothing. And I would like for y'all to look at how many people has been brought in from Monroe County to our Loudon County schools by him. You will be surprised. It is sickening.
Thank you, Ms. Bright. Anyone else? We are adjourned.
Can we helicopter in? Because I don't wanna cry.
Oh, you got me here for class?
If she needs anything, call Scotty,